Monday, June 26, 2023, Monaco 64, home of alternative economics and contrarian views. Today we're going to look at the war on gold and Sun Tzu. Yes, he was a Chinese general, philosopher, and writer. And before we start, we're going to look at some headlines, and I'm going to make a couple of announcements as well concerning our precious metals affiliates. So I would say that right now the world is a big stage, and there are a lot of distractions out there. Of course, we had the sub, now we had the Russian coup, and there's a lot of talk about the Russian coup, what it was all about, whether Putin played a brilliant card. And it's also got to do with Sun Tzu. And we're going to look quickly at the commercial real estate market. And I want to look at this Summer Davos, which is organized by the World Economic Forum, which makes me think that the whole world is a stage and we're only pawns in it. So let's start with the Russian coup attempt, the failed Russian coup. Well, some people are thinking that it was all about deception. This guy here on Twitter says, his name is Stefano Bottaioli. He says, Putin cheated the world by faking coup to fool NATO and eliminate disloyally high-ranking military inside Russia without a fight. That's a question. The ploy also caused Ukraine to advance, thinking Russia was weak, thus revealing their entire offensive. If that was what he did, it was a brilliant military tactic that will go down as one of the greatest moves in military history. So I'm going to stop here. Some of you might have heard about this, the fact that Wagner and Prigozhin is his name, I'm not sure. I don't follow these things too closely. Now he's in Belarus, which is just a little not too far from Kiev, and he was a lot further from Kiev before. So I'm going to come to the war on gold and Sun Tzu in a minute, and you'll see what I mean by this story in Russia. The second one is about Saudi Arabia and China attending this summer Davos. And who's organizing it? Well, Klaus Schwab and the World Economic Forum. And we're told that Russia and China are rebelling against the World Economic Forum. And it's really, yeah, as I said, the whole world is a stage and we are the pawns. So this is another example that the same people pulling the strings in the West are pulling the strings in the global South. It's all theater, I would say, even with Russia. The third thing I wanted to talk about that I think is significant for the markets, and it's a story that came out this weekend about the financial storm bearing down on U.S. commercial real estate. Long-awaiting reckoning arrives as building loans come due at time of scarcer credit. Why do I think this is important? Well, because the regional banks, about 60 to 70% of their assets are commercial real estate. And I saw that Yellen said that the Secretary of the Treasury, that there's going to be a lot of bank mergers, which means there's probably going to be a lot of smaller banks failing, and the big boys will be gobbling up the smaller banks. Maybe JP Morgan, that bank that deleted 47 million emails by mistake, will benefit from that, and maybe Goldman Sachs and Citibank, right? So that's what I wanted to talk about in terms of news here this morning. Now back to the war on gold, and I've spoken about this many times. And Sun Tzu, what's Sun Tzu got to do with it? Well, I've got Sun Tzu's Art of War for Traders and Investors. So here's the book. I recommend it. Had it for many years. But on page 14, and this is where Putin comes in, because Sun Tzu, of course, was a general. He wasn't a trader or an investor, but a lot of the principles apply. He says, that all warfare is based on deception. If strong, pretend to be weak and hold out a carrot to entice your enemy. If your opponent is superior, evade him. So what that guy, Stefano Battaglioli, said about Putin deceiving everyone could be true. And it also led to the Ukraine revealing its position, the Ukrainian army. And what about with gold? Well, with gold, it's the same thing. The mainstream media, the central banks, the financial establishment, they try to keep you away from gold, even though it's the best store of value of wealth, financial wealth, over the long term. And I've spoken on this channel about how all fiat currencies are sinking, how they're all losing big time over the long term versus gold. For example, if you go back to 1953, which was 70 years ago, and there's no reason why I'm doing this, it's just that I have data for this period from fxtop.com. If you look at the dollar and other currencies, they've lost like 99% versus gold over that period, and it's all of them, with the exception maybe of the Swiss franc that's gone down like 91%, but it's still gone down. So now we're going to look at the deception part of the war on gold, and the war on gold is to try to keep the general public poor, to try to keep the general public in debt and spending and borrowing, because gold, of course, is a very safe way to save. It's a great way to pass on your wealth, and they don't want you involved. So back in 2004, while I was still taking the train in the morning to go to work in the city of London, I saw an editorial by the venerable Financial Times, and it said, "Going, going, gold. The pointlessness of holding bullion continues to sink in." And at the time, I'd been buying gold for 2 years. And if I didn't know any better, I probably would have stopped and thought, yeah, maybe I shouldn't buy gold. Look at this. The FT is saying this. But I never trusted really the FT, even back then, because I'd been waking up. I'd been watching people like Alex Jones and InfoWars, and I'd been digging deep already into the conspiracy hole, so to speak. So a lot of the things that are happening now don't surprise me. I know they're unfortunate, and the only hope we have is that a lot of people are waking up. So I was so outraged by this piece of editorial that I cut it out and I laminated it so I'd have it for posterity. And at the time, gold was traded at $400 per troy ounce. This was April 16th, 2004, so almost 20 years ago. So what you can do if you want to read the whole thing is pause this video and read it. And I might put it into my blog, and so you can get a link to it and read it there. Yeah, that's a good idea. I hadn't put it in my blog, and I have a blog which I post things to once in a while, not very regularly, and it's called Maneko64.net. So what's the deception part here? Well, it's to try to keep investors away from gold. And here we are now with gold almost at $2,000. And in other currencies, gold has done even better. And we're seeing the people in charge of the world, the central bankers, actually accumulating gold. And yes, it's the global south central bankers. It's not Western Europe or the US, but Western Europe and the US have already a lot of gold. And we've seen that the World Economic Forum, you know, they're not just a Western thing, they're also a global thing. So we're all, I'm afraid, pawns in the game, and a lot of distractions out there. It makes you wonder what's going to be next after the submarine, after what's happened in Russia, what's going to be next in the next week or two, because I'm sure what happened in Russia is going to go off the news cycle very soon, and they need something else to keep you distracted. But I would say the biggest threat to us, to our families, and to our prosperity is inflation. And that's what you have to keep in mind. And that's why I'm still holding on to my gold and silver, and I'm still trying to stack as much as possible. So it's all about deception, as I said, and it's a war. And about my affiliates, well, I just wanted to let you know that Gold Investments, they've renewed their special on 1 ounce gold Krugerrands. You can get them for just 1% over spot, but if you use my promo code Monaco64, basically you'll be buying it for 0.5% over spot. That's just for my UK viewers, of course. But Gold Investments might ship it to the US, or they might even like store it or hold it on deposit in their private vaults for you. So even if you're in the US, you might want to check that out. And for Glint as well, Glint still have their special, where if you use my referral Monaco V50, you will save 50% on storage and also insurance of your gold with Glint. And yeah, don't forget also to check out my North American affiliates, Miles Franklin and ITM Trading. All that stuff is below in the description, the way to get in touch with them. So with that, let's quickly look at where the markets are this morning then. It's 8:40 a.m. London time. We've got spot gold at 1928. It's up just over $7. The high's been 31. The low's been 1920. We've got spot silver up 33 cents at 22.77. That's up 1.5%. The stock market indices, the futures, the Dow is down 79, NASDAQ 100 futures down 27, and the S&P futures down 10. The FTSE is down 0.5% at 74.18. To the currencies, sterling is up 0.17%, 127.40. The euro is unchanged, trading at 109. The dollar is down 0.5% versus the yen, trading at 143. So there's been a pretty sharp move higher in the dollar, but now it's coming back down. The high today was almost 144. So quite a bit of volatility there in the dollar yen. The dollar yuan is up 0.33%, so the dollar's pretty strong versus the yuan at just below 724. To the other currencies, we've got the Aussie dollar unchanged, 66.72. The dollar is down 0.2 versus the Canadian dollar, 131.59. Kiwi dollar is up 0.2% at 61.55. To the general commodities, WTI crude is virtually unchanged, 69.10. Brent as well is just trading below 74. Platinum is up $11, trading around 9.30. And high-grade copper is down 0.25%, trading just below 381. So we're going to finish off and look at the bond markets. We're going to start with the gilt market. Well, the gilt 2-year yield, which is a key indicator for mortgage rates, short-term rates, well, that's come off a little bit from the high last week, which was 523. Right now, we're at 520, which means like 2-year mortgages will probably be set around 6.25% to 6.5%. So not really great for the UK economy, the housing market, everything. So to the US Treasury market, we've got the 2-year yield down 4 basis points at 471, and the 10-year as well is down 4 at 370. So with that, I'm going to wish you all a very good start to the week and a very good day. Take care. Bye.